Remember the monkey bars? You know, the playground equipment that looks like a ladder and is placed horizontally between two poles. You climb up and begin to cross one hand over the other to get to the other side. Inevitably, about halfway across, you realize you aren't going to make it. At that very moment, you fear that you can't hang on any longer. Your fingers are on fire. The weight of your body is pulling you down. Your hands are sweaty, and you feel your fingers begin to slip. That's when you ask yourself, why did I do this? How did I get here? About halfway through my 30 years of serving as a minister's wife in conservative fundamentalist Christian churches, both in America and in Chinese congregations, I began to ask myself that very same question. I realized that I was drowning in expectations put on me, but I could see no way out, no way to let go. I feared the distance to the ground from where I was hanging, the unknown, the uncertainty, the reality that letting go meant not knowing where I would land. It seemed to me that the expectations were endless. I had to be at every service, no exceptions. It was even expected of me to return to church on the Sunday after giving birth to our child on Monday. I was required to wear dresses to the knees, no exception, and no pants. I recall as a teenager during my early days of embracing conservative Christianity, I borrowed a friend's bikini to wear. I felt both freedom and shame at the same time. Normally, I would have worn a modest bathing suit that my mother had made. This was actually because my religious boyfriend at the time, now my husband, told me he didn't want me to wear a bikini. Of course, this was his way of managing the raging hormones of teen years. Our journey into the depths of fundamentalism began right out of high school. We both attended what some consider to be one of the most conservative religious colleges in America, Bob Jones University in Greenville, South Carolina. We ended up in Taiwan to serve as missionaries to save the lost from an eternity in hell. I had interests that I wanted to pursue, but expectations and restrictions denied these of me. I wanted to learn to play mahjong, but it was considered taboo by Chinese Christians since it often involved gambling. After returning to America and to minister in a Chinese-speaking church, I wanted to buy a convertible and ride around town with my hair blowing in the wind. But driving a convertible wouldn't have been considered an appropriate car for a minister's wife. Our journey out of conservative Christianity, at least for me, was realizing that I no longer wanted to live under the expectations that I had naively embraced at the young age of 17. My husband had begun to experiencing misgivings in the theology in which he had spent years of academic study. He grew increasingly uncomfortable with the doctrine that he was required to preach. I feared letting go of a belief system, the beliefs of the religious upbringing of my childhood, one I never considered I could doubt. But leaving a life that had been all-consuming for over 30 years was giving up so much of who we were, not to mention the financial security. As a matter of fact, during our transition, I worked selling cemetery plots, and my husband as a Starbucks barista. When falling from the monkey bars, we don't know where or how we will land. Letting go of our religion actually wasn't as frightening as we feared. Emotionally, it was difficult as we had to relinquish relationships we had formed over the years. The pain of hanging on was too much. We decided to let go. There was relief in moving from our past life, a feeling of freedom that came from letting go. Oh, and by the way, I learned to play mahjong and bought a convertible.